Apollo is often remembered as the Bright One, god of sunlight, music, poetry, prophecy, healing, youth, and perfect beauty. But that is only the surface. Apollo was never simply warm, never simply gentle, never just a golden god in the light. Apollo is the god of distance, the arrow that kills before you can touch him, the music that creates order before emotion becomes chaos, the oracle that answers but never explains too much, the beauty that attracts everyone and yet remains impossible to possess. That is why Apollo became one of the most Greek images of divinity, because he reveals one of the deepest Greek ideas. Civilization is not born from comfort, it is born from measure, from limits, from discipline, from the effort to turn violence into form. Even his birth begins with pursuit. His mother, Leto, was loved by Zeus, and because of that, she became the enemy of Hera. Pregnant and hunted across the earth, Leto searched for a place where she could give birth. But every land feared Hera's anger. Only Delos accepted her. A small island, unstable, almost rootless, floating between sea and sky. Delos had little power, but if Leto gave birth there, it would become sacred forever. And so Apollo was born, not in a palace of ease, but in a place of fear, exile, and divine pressure. Apollo does not simply inherit order, he creates it. He will be the god who draws lines, confusion from clarity, noise from music, disease from healing, human arrogance from sacred law. But Apollo's order is never soft, it arrives with a bow. In the Iliad, the first great divine action is Apollo descending from Olympus in anger. He comes like night, with his silver bow on his shoulder, and sends plague into the Greek camp. This is the paradox of Apollo. He is associated with light, but he can arrive like darkness. He is a healer, but he is also the one who sends disease. He is a musician, but his arrows kill from far away. The same God who brings harmony can bring death. For the Greeks, this was not a contradiction. It was the truth of power when it is precise. That is why the lyre and the bow belong to the same God. To us, they seem opposite, music and violence, beauty and death. But to the Greeks, both required measure. The bow demands control, a steady hand, a clear eye, the ability to hold force back until the exact instant of release. The lyre demands the same thing: tension, proportion, discipline, timing. Too loose, it makes no music. Too tight, it breaks. Apollo is the god of that tension. He teaches that beauty is not the absence of force. Beauty is force mastered. This is why his victory over Python at Delphi matters so much. Before Delphi became the most famous oracle of the Greek world, myth remembered the place as haunted by a monstrous serpent. Python guarded the sacred site. A darker power was there before Apollo arrived. Apollo kills Python with his arrows. At first, it looks like a simple victory, the young god of light defeating a chthonic monster. But the myth is deeper. Apollo does not merely kill and move on. The killing creates pollution. Even a god must face the consequences of sacred violence. So Apollo becomes connected to purification, to the transformation of bloodshed into law, festival, music, and oracle. Apollo does not pretend civilization is innocent. He knows that order is often founded after violence. But he also insists that violence cannot remain raw. It must be named, purified, and given form. And Delphi becomes the perfect Apollonian place, a sanctuary in the mountains, a center of prophecy, a place where kings, cities, generals, and ordinary people came to ask what they should do. But Apollo did not give easy answers. The oracle did not speak like a modern instruction manual. Its words could be poetic, ambiguous, dangerous. A phrase could save a city or destroy someone who understood it too quickly. Apollo does not lie, but he does not simplify. That is the meaning of Delphi. Know thyself, nothing in excess. These are not soft moral sayings, they are warnings. Know what you are, Know that you are mortal. Know that desire, ambition, anger, and confidence all have limits. Nothing in excess means do not mistake intensity for truth. Do not mistake power for wisdom. Do not mistake success for permission. Apollo's light is not the light of comfort. It is the light that exposes you. And this is why his stories of love are so painful. Apollo desires, but again and again he cannot possess. Daphne runs from him. She does not want his embrace. She wants the open air, the wild, the freedom of her own body. Apollo pursues her, and at the final moment, when he is almost close enough to touch her, Daphne is transformed into a laurel tree. The god of beauty reaches her only when she is no longer human. So he takes the laurel as his sacred plant. The leaves become the crown of poets and victors, but the symbol is not simple triumph. It is desire turned into distance, loss turned into art. Apollo's love does not end in possession, it becomes form. But Apollo's distance has a terrifying side. No myth shows this more clearly than the story of Marsyas. Marsyas was a satyr, a wild musician connected with the flute. He challenged Apollo to a contest. On the surface, it is a contest between instruments, the flute against the lyre. But symbolically, Marsyas represents ecstatic sound, breath, body, impulse, wildness. Apollo represents measured music, string, proportion, discipline, clarity. When Apollo wins, the punishment is brutal. Marsyas is flayed. It prevents us from turning Apollo into a harmless god of art. Apollo's beauty is not sentimental. His harmony is not negotiable. For the Greeks, art was not merely self-expression. It was a way of touching cosmic structure. To challenge Apollo was to challenge the principle that beauty requires measure. But the older Apollo is more complex than a clean symbol of reason. He is plague and healing, music and arrows, prophecy and ambiguity, love and loss, purification after blood. He is the god who shows that civilization is not built by denying violence, desire, grief, and fear. It is built by forcing them into shape. A hymn, a law, a festival, a temple, a crown of laurel, a warning carved at Delphi. So Apollo is not simply the god of the sun. For the early Greeks, Helios was the sun itself. Apollo's light is more difficult. It is intellectual light, moral light, the light of form, the light that separates, reveals, measures, and judges. That is why Apollo can feel both beautiful and cold. He does not embrace the world, he clarifies it. So the final meaning of Apollo is this: life needs form in order not to collapse into chaos. But form is never innocent. Every harmony hides a wound. Every rule remembers a violence. Every beautiful order was once a struggle against something darker. Apollo stands at that distance forever, with the lyre in one hand, the bow in the other. Radiant, severe, impossible to possess. The god who made beauty shine, and made it dangerous.